Hello, I'm Leanne Proops, and today I want to talk to you about an ongoing project that I'm undertaking with my PhD student, Emily Haddy, with collaborators at the University of Portsmouth, the Donkey Sanctuary, and Brooke. And this study is looking at the relationship between owner attitudes and working equid welfare across a range of different countries. For many of the world's poorest people, over 100 million working donkeys, horses, and mules provide vital support for livelihoods, access to healthcare, education, and basic necessities. Working equids perform a wide range of roles globally, from helping with agriculture and agroforestry, for helping in industry such as brick kilns and the mezcal industry in Mexico, for collecting rubbish and for as packing animals that transports goods to market, or forage for other livestock, and also as transport either for the owner themselves or as a taxi service for other individuals such as tourists. Working equids also play vital roles in militaries across the world, often in remote mountainous regions. They can also be really important for families in order to gain access to drinking water that may be many miles away from their own homes. But despite their importance, their welfare is often poor, with lesions, lameness, insect challenge, dehydration, and poor body condition prevalent. Understanding the challenges equids and their owners face in different communities is really key to improving the lives of these animals and the people that depend on them. The welfare of over 100 million working equids and the estimated 500 million people they support is really inextricably linked. When equid welfare is improved, this produces greater productivity in the animal and a longer lifespan, which in turn improves the lives of the owners in terms of economic benefit, social capital, reduction of physical burden, and companionship. In turn, owner attitudes, knowledge, and behaviour affect the welfare of their equids. And this is the particular link that we're looking at in this study, the link between owner attitudes and indirectly through behaviour, the effect on the equids' welfare. The ABC model of attitudes states that attitudes are made up of three components: the affective or emotional response to the particular object or issue, the behaviour that is performed in relation to that issue, and the thoughts or opinions related to that particular issue. So if we consider working equids, then the affective response may be how an individual feels the emotional bond or connection to their animal. The cognitive response might involve particular beliefs or ideas or knowledge about how to manage those animals, for example, whether they should be kept in social isolation or in groups. And the behaviour is the resulted outcome of the combination of the emotional attitudes and the cognitive attitudes towards those individuals. In this study, our aim is to explore the link between affective and cognitive components of owner attitudes towards their working equids and the welfare of those animals. We also wanted to assess whether these relationships between human attitudes and animal welfare were consistent across cultures. To do this, we used the new Equid Assessment, Research and Scoping, or EARS tool, developed by the Donkey Sanctuary to assess the welfare of working equids across a wide range of contexts. Welfare measures included body condition score, lameness, skin alterations, and general health status. We also asked the owners questions from the EARS tool regarding their management and working practices, which form part of studies about the conditions of specific locations and assessments of welfare interventions. But for this particular study that I want to talk to you about, the really key important questions that we included were additional questions asking owners about their attitudes and their emotional responses towards their equid and also towards equids in general. Currently, our subjects consist of 120 participants from 3 regions in Mexico: Querétaro, Veracruz, and Puebla. In addition to that, we also assessed the welfare of their 56 donkeys, 57 horses, and 7 mules. In Europe, we have 62 participants from the border between northeast Portugal and northwestern Spain. We also looked at the welfare of 59 donkeys and 3 mules. Additional data collection from study populations in West Africa, India, and Pakistan is also planned. So, in order to explore the affective element of attitudes, we asked participants, what does your equid mean to you? The answers were transcribed and their content analysed and were categorised into two different groups. Individuals who really expressed views and looked at their animals as if they were a tool were categorised as having an instrumental perspective. So, for example, providing answers such as, it is my tractor, so it is important, or I have some money in her. If any participant showed some form of emotional connection to the animal, such as saying, we would feel an emptiness if we didn't have a donkey, or she has been with me a long time, she is my friend, then those participants would be categorised as having an affective perspective. We found that across those populations, 47% of individuals showed an affective perspective when asked what their equid meant to them. There was no significant difference across these populations in the proportion of affective versus instrumental perspectives. In Mexico, we didn't see any strong relationship between the attitudes, these particular attitudes, and the welfare indicators of their equids. However, in the Spanish and Portuguese owners, those with affective attitudes had animals with significantly higher body condition scores, although this did not always mean much better welfare because some of them were not ideal but were actually overweight. To explore the cognitive element of attitudes, we wanted to look at people's views about animal sentience. That is the capacity to be aware of both positive and negative feelings and sensations. So we asked participants, do you think your equid feels emotions? And do you think your equid feels pain? We found that 85% of owners did think that their equids felt emotions, although percentages varied across different locations. 89% of participants thought that their animals felt pain, and 11% were unsure. Here, we did find a connection between these attitudes and the welfare of the animals. So the general health status of equids whose owners believed they could feel emotions was significantly better than those whose owners did not. Also, the prevalence of lameness was significantly higher in equids whose owners believed their equid could not feel pain compared to those owners who thought they could. We also explored other cognitive elements of owner attitudes towards their working equids in relation to management practices. For example, we asked, do you think your equid bonds with other non-human animals? We found that 76% of owners thought equids formed bonds with other animals, whereas 24% did not. The equids of owners who thought they did form bonds actually had more social contact in terms of the management practices of those owners. So there's a clear link here between the attitudes of the owners, the behaviour and their management practices, and the experiences that the equids had. The obvious conclusion to draw from this is to think that owners who think that their animals bond with others, therefore, as a result, provide more social contact for those animals. However, it is possible that things are working the other way around. So perhaps equids that happen to have social contact have the opportunity to bond with each other, and that in turn affects the attitudes of the humans. So the humans may not previously had thought their animals had bonded with others, but when they see them in that social context, they can see those bonds, and that in turn changes the human attitudes. So it's really important to think about what these results mean. It's clear that there is a two-way interaction between both the owner's attitudes, the equids behaviour, but also the equids behaviour affecting the owner's attitudes. And we must consider this two-way relationship if we really are to take a one welfare approach. Another example is that we've seen in these results that owners who think that their equids don't feel pain are more likely to have lame animals. It's easy to think that the owner's attitude is causing in some way the lameness of the animal. However, it is possible that it could be working the other way round. As humans, we really don't like to think that we're causing pain or suffering to other individuals. So it could be that owners who have animals who are lame because they can't, for whatever reason, look after them sufficiently to reduce that lameness, have to adjust their attitudes in order to think, well, that animal isn't feeling pain anyway, in order to make them feel better in order to cope with this unpleasant situation. So it's important to think about this two-way relationship. So to summarise, work is ongoing, but preliminary results suggest that broadly, the greater the emotional connection an owner has with their equid, the better the equid's welfare. The more an owner believes in animal or equid sentience or the ability to feel emotions, the better the equid's welfare. However, there are cultural and population differences in this relationship between attitudes and welfare that need exploring further. Our future work includes adding data from African and Asian populations and also assessing the link between owner compassion or empathy and equid welfare. I think it's also really important and interesting to link the equid welfare back to the owner welfare or well-being. In other words, to complete the one welfare circle. So thank you very much for listening to my talk. And I'd also like to thank my collaborators, Emily Haddy, who did the data collection for this study that I'm talking about, my other collaborator at the University of Portsmouth, Dr. Julia Brown, and also our collaborators at Donkey Sanctuary and the Brook. If you'd like to get in contact with me after this talk, then my email address is on the bottom left of this slide, as well as my Twitter link. Thank you very much for listening.